What if the next medical breakthrough could change thousands of lives? Welcome to Moving Medicine Forward, the podcast that pulls back the curtain on groundbreaking healthcare innovations. I'm your host, Jeremy Schran, and together with CTI's leading experts, we explore the cutting edge of clinical research transforming patient care. Each episode, we dive deep into the stories behind medical advancements, featuring insights from global therapeutic experts who are literally changing how we understand and treat critical disease. From rare genetic conditions to revolutionary treatment protocols, we're not just discussing research, we're highlighting the human stories driving medical progress. What does it mean to turn personal challenge into a mission of hope? Today, we're diving deep into an extraordinary story of resilience. Dawn Denham, Manager Community Engagement and Company Culture at CTI, sits down with Jill Black, our Validation IT Principal Auditor, to share her powerful journey of raising a daughter with Rett Syndrome, a rare genetic disorder that challenges families in unimaginable ways. This isn't just another interview. This is a mission moment that reveals why our work in medicine isn't just about data and process, but about real human experiences. Get ready to be inspired.
Hi, Jill. Thank you so much for sitting down with us today to talk about Rett syndrome and how rare disease has affected your life.
Thank you very much for having me. I'm excited to talk about the journey today.
So, Jill, tell us about your daughter, Emma.
Yeah. So my daughter, Emma, was diagnosed with Rett syndrome on May 8th of 2019. It's a rare neurological disorder that literally affects every part of her body. The ability to eat, speak, walk, breathe. It is a genetic disorder that is typically not inherited by the parents. My husband and I were both tested. We're not carriers of this. So if we were to go on and have more children, we would not, the chances of us having someone that would have this would be very, very rare. It is a genetic spontaneous mutation on a gene called the MECP2 gene, which is located on the X chromosome. So it is typically found in females, about 1 in 10,000 births every year. It is more rare in males. It's like 1 in a million. The way that it was best described to us when Emma was diagnosed was it's like having cerebral palsy, autism, epilepsy, and Parkinson's disease all in one. So as you can imagine, when we got the diagnosis, it was extremely, extremely heartbreaking for us. We started to notice a little bit about something being off with Emma when she was around 8.5 months old. We noticed that she wasn't crawling, she wasn't pulling to stand. And so I brought up my concerns to our pediatrician. Our pediatrician basically just said, "Oh, every child develops at their own pace. She'll get there. It'll be fine," and kind of just dismissed us. So I didn't really seem too concerned at that point. At 12 months of age, Emma was still not walking, wasn't crawling, really did not like tummy time. So I then started to get concerned again, brought it back up at the 12-month checkup, and they said, "We can send you to genetics and you guys can go ahead and get referred to them and see what they say." We went to Cincinnati Children's genetics department, did a very basic round of genetic testing. Everything came back normal. And that was in January of 2019. So Emma at 15 months was still, at this point, did not have any real words, wasn't walking, still no progress with development. And so we then were able to do the next round of genetic testing, which included looking at a lot more, and took about 12 weeks. Seemed like the longest 12 weeks of my life to find out what our daughter was gonna have, and received a phone call on May 8th saying, "This is what your daughter has." I asked, will she walk? Will she talk? They're like, "Unfortunately, probably not." And then said to get on the International Rett Syndrome Foundation website, and that's where you can find out more information on exactly what this is. So after a few hours went by, I decided to then get on the International Rett Syndrome website, which was very it was very overwhelming. When you look up Rett syndrome online, it can be very scary for a person that doesn't know anything about this disease. So I put in our information and I was connected with a family engagement manager at the International Rett Syndrome Foundation who called me that same evening at 7 p.m. and talked to me for 2 hours on the phone. That time frame that I spoke to her really, really helped me in that moment. It was just a very, very hard thing to accept, but she truly understood what I was going through because she too has a daughter who has Rett syndrome. So being able to connect with someone that truly understands what you're going through as a parent was life-changing for me. And at the end of that 2-hour conversation, I said to her, in that moment, I said, I don't even know how I can say this, but you have been such an inspiration to me. And I know that at some point in my life, I will be ready to raise awareness and share Emma's story and advocate for our girls or our children, I should say, because you have helped me so much in that moment. And to come full circle 5 years later, I've been able to do that. And it's really, truly been such an amazing opportunity because all I want to do is advocate for my daughter and advocate those living with this disease that, they can't do anything about it. They can't help it. And so it's just been a great opportunity to be able to even share this with all of you, and knowing that working at CTI and having the opportunity to make a difference and be part of an amazing corporation that supports rare disease, knowing that your daughter has a rare disease just gives us and our family so much hope.
Jill, as you know, NORD is CTI, North America's Charity of the Quarter, and you shared a story with us that you haven't been with us too terribly long, but when you came on board, you actually went and spoke at the 2024 Rett Syndrome National Summit.
I did.
To thousands of people.
I did.
Will you tell us about that experience and how it really connected back to that moment that we all have in our lives, which is I'm exactly where I'm supposed to be?
Oh, absolutely.
Right now.
Yes. So, as you mentioned, NORD was actually a huge help for helping make that happen for us. So the Rett Syndrome National Summit was held in 2024 in Colorado. And I had the opportunity to speak and tell a little bit about Emma's journey on a newly FDA-approved drug. And but as you know, finances can be a little bit difficult. So I was given the opportunity to reach out to NORD, and they were gracious enough to help fund some of my cost expense to be able to go and speak at this conference. So being able to share Emma's journey and connect with all of those other parents that have kids that have Rett syndrome, the people that I got to meet, the opportunities that I was given in that moment would not have been possible without NORD.
Wonderful. So there's one FDA drug that's approved currently?
There is. Yes, there is a lot going on in this space right now. So we're very, very excited for what the future holds for Emma. If you would have asked me this when Emma was diagnosed, I would have thought never in her lifetime would there ever be a drug that would even be approved, let alone be where we are today. So 25 years ago is when it was discovered what Rett syndrome is, and it was actually able to be reversed in mice. 20 years ago, there were no drugs on the market or any clinical trials being worked on. Within the last 5 years, there's now 20 pharmaceutical companies that are currently working on clinical trials to support hopefully gene therapy or some type of medication to help cure this disease. And actually in the last year, there's been 2 clinical trials, 2 gene therapies that have been ramped up and is actually in humans that is ongoing right now. So the hope for a cure for this is within our reach, and I'm really looking forward to seeing where that takes us.
How can listeners get involved and support families who are affected by Rett syndrome?
Yeah, I would say there's a few things that I can touch on with this. So the International Rett Syndrome Foundation has a actual page that speaks to getting involved. I would say there's lots of community and national events that occur. One that's near and dear to our heart is there is a stroll-a-thon every year for all of our Rett kiddos that live actually specifically in the Cincinnati area. The International Rett Syndrome Foundation is actually in Cincinnati as well, which is even more so to put a little bit of light on this. The other thing that I'd like to mention is donating. So a lot of organizations and charities, we get no national federal funding for our organization for research. All of our research money is raised by individuals and companies that want to donate to us. So, making sure that people are getting involved, raising awareness, letting people know what Rett syndrome is. Like what I'm doing right now is huge to our community. Would be the best place that I would say that where our community can get involved.
Jill, thank you again for being here with us today and sharing the story of your daughter and the journey that your family has been on and how it connects so closely to CTI's mission.
Thank you very much for having me. I appreciate the opportunity to be able to share Emma's story.
Thank you for listening. If you enjoy discovering how medicine is moving forward, or you are interested in how CTI could help you with clinical research, be sure to subscribe. Follow us on social media or visit our website at ctifacts.com.